Hey, good morning, everybody. It's 10:30. I'll call the public safety meeting to order at 10:30. Becky, would you do roll, please?
Sure will. Mike Copine,
Here.
Keen Hudson,
Present.
Katie White, Angie Shippert. Here. Mike Pearson.
Okay, I'm just checking. I forget to check all the time. I don't see Mike. If you see Mike pop up on there, let me know, will you, Dean, please? Okay, if you have a cell phone, if you would turn it off or mute it, I would appreciate it. I just checked mine. Public, Dean, do you have anything you'd like to bring up? Good, okay. Okay, how about last month's meetings minutes? Did you have a chance to look at those? And if so, are there any corrections or additions or anything? If not, nothing? Okay. They'll stand approved as read. I don't see, we have Terry. No, Terry's not here. Circuit, Amy's not here. Ordinance judges. Kevin's report for EMA will be on file. He's going to be gone for a week. He spoke with the sheriff and spoke with me also, so Kevin won't be here today. Probation, I don't see.
Stacy's here.
Okay, we'll come back to Stacy then. Okay, Sheriff, would you like to go ahead and take over?
Sure. I didn't make press time, so I brought hard copies, so I had a few up on the table. So that's just a sampling of what we went through for the month of October. So one of the big highlights is that telecommunicator Dylan Eilers and Deputy Alejandro Castro will hopefully be receiving the life-saving award at the full county board meeting next week. And it pretty much gives you a rundown of the events right there.
How are we set with the drones? Do you know? Have you talked with Kevin? I know we had one that kind of melted in the heat here back when you were doing the search for the resident over in West Brooklyn, and he had a senator get it repaired. You familiar with any of that?
I think that was the backup drone that might have
Yeah.
had an issue. I think that's since been repaired and it's
Okay.
up.
I think
Up and running.
I think he had it in the budget to do so, so I think he went ahead with it.
Yes.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for the sheriff?
None for me.
Okay, okay. All right, thank you, Sheriff. State's Attorney, Mr. Boonstra.
Thank you, sir. We are still moving forward with the Safety Act stuff, still trying to figure out what kind of impact it will have on the county and the finances. I think we'll have a pretty good idea within the 3 to 6 months range. We're coming up on the 3-month now, but still moving forward on that. What we're seeing in terms of folks being detained and folks being let go is while we would have normally in the bond world, setting a bond at somebody at 3,000, 10%, maybe they're going to post, maybe they're not going to post. Now, when we look at those, it's just almost an automatic recognizance bond that goes to them. So they're being let go with certain conditions in place. So we're working through all of that. I think it's been fairly smooth, working with probation, the public defender's office, the judges are adapting to how long some of these hearings are going to take and the continued orders that we have for those. One thing I will mention that's coming up for finance executive and full county board, hopefully, is again the annual appellate prosecutors resolution, which appoints the appellate prosecutor for any type of conflict cases we're going to have or any type of appeals that come out. I think we're going to see an influx of appeals for the appellate prosecutor's office because of the bond reform. Now it's basically anybody that has been detained is going to be able to appeal those detention orders, and really all they have is time, so they're going to appeal those detention orders. So I think now more than ever, we're going to be getting our money's worth out of the appellate prosecutor's office. So that'll be on the finance and the executive agendas, and then hopefully making its way to the full board. That is a budgeted item, so it's something that's already been worked into the budget itself. And I think that's about it.
Any questions for the state's attorney's office? Okay, thank you, Mr. Butcher, appreciate it.
Yeah, did you want me to give any update on the collection stuff, or do you want to wait till down the road?
No, you can go ahead, and then we'll have it out of the way.
Okay. All right, looks like as of October of this year, total collections received for that month, $3,321.39. Becky, do you need me to say it again? $3,321.39. And then total since 2019, $207,540. Did you get that? Correct. And then total amount for the year so far, $56,016.68. Yep.
Are we turning everything over to the agency that's handling all of this, or are we narrowing out those that may have been deceased or some extenuating circumstances?
Sure, we're keeping an eye on those kind of
But
circumstances. Not
they get everything.
to get everything. Who
In
get?
other words.
No, 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 not everything goes over to collections. So we still have the pay or appear method that's still in place, where it's the first Friday every month. It's after we kind of lose track of somebody for 2 months and they're not paying and they're not doing anything, that's when they get turned over.
Okay.
Yep.
Mike.
Okay, thanks. Okay, Stacy, we're gonna come back to you. You were busy. I'll let you go ahead with anything you have.
Not too much exciting news in the world of probation. Everything's maintaining pretty much status quo. We're just following behind the state's attorney's office in regards to that pretrial reform and making some adjustments on our end with that. We're pleased that to this point, we still do not have weekend court, so that's great for us and keeps the impact pretty minimal for my particular department. We do have a signed union contract, so those union negotiations are done and taken care of. And other than that, that's all that I have. Any questions?
Okay, any questions for Stacy? Okay, thanks, Stacy, appreciate it. Okay,
Sorry for my late arrival.
that's all right, you're here, that's what counts. I told them to make sure, they told me you were up there, because eyes in the back of my head quit working, so. Okay, report on abandoned property focus. The focus group met a few days ago. And there's 2 lists, and I'm not going to go over all of them and read them to you, but there's an active list and kind of a proactive list. Wendy, do you want to give a brief definition of what we're doing here? The abandoned properties, there's a list of in progress, and then there's a list here that we're going to try to function with. A lot of them, almost all of them that are listed here for Dixon are within the corporate limits of Dixon. So we're going to try and hold them responsible for those. But Wendy, I'm going to turn it over to you and let you give any explanation that you want that might help them understand. And
So for those of you that are looking at the list, the one that looks like it's, it's landscape mode, looks like it's in Excel. That is the active list that the Abandoned Property Focus Group has been reviewing and trying to stay on top of. The committee did meet last week, as Mike said, and they are continuing to take action on those that it makes sense to take action for. Some of them have transferred to new ownership. So for example, one of the things that we can do to take action is have the health department reach out or contact that new owner and say, hey, this property is unsafe or appears to be abandoned. Can we do something to secure the property? So that's just one of the many options that the Abandoned Property Focus Group takes a look at. The other list I want to clarify is a list of properties that the one that Mike referred to where it's primarily Dixon properties. That is just an excerpt out of the abandoned property grant application that we applied for. Just to remind you, that grant application was for a joint effort between the city of Dixon and Franklin Grove and the county. So the city of Dixon submitted a list of all the properties that were on their watch list, and then we submitted those that were on our watch list. There aren't as many county properties that were on our watch list, primarily because many of our watch list properties are not zoned residential. So the grant was applicable only to residential structures. So what we applied for is a potential reimbursement on 2 of the residential properties that we have already mitigated using our ARPA dollars. And should we be eligible for that reimbursement of those dollars we spent, we will put those dollars back into the fund and hopefully be able to tackle some of our larger commercial industrial properties. The one that we are most active on right now for our larger commercial industrial properties is at the intersection of 251 and 30, the old motel that's there. So we continue through our special appointed attorney, Tim Zeilinger, to pursue the authority to act on behalf of that property and mitigate the unsafe damages. That is still working its way through the court system to obtain that authority. But that's probably the one that we're most active on. The other ones we're watching and monitoring. So Mike, if there's anything else. So I would just say the one with all the ones from the city of Dixon on it, again, that's an excerpt out of the grant. A reminder that we originally applied for in the grant application requesting well over $500,000 because there wasn't enough grant money to go around to all jurisdictions that applied. We were awarded $154,000. So decisions will have to be made about where we focus that $154,000. Obviously, we're not going to be able to tackle everything that we submitted in the grant, and it remains to be seen which ones we do submit. But again, the city of Dixon, as Mike said, if we choose to allocate some of that $154,000 to the properties within the city of Dixon, they'll kind of take the lead with regard to the process that needs to take place to, get the authority to mitigate the unsafe conditions, go out for bid, for example, for tearing down the properties or asbestos abatement. All of that part of the process, if we allocate money towards the city of Dixon properties, they will handle largely that administrative process. The county is, in other words, the grantee of the grant. It really was applied for under our name. Although we agreed to partner with and assist the city of Dixon, it was applied for under our name, which means we have the administrative responsibilities, the high-level administrative responsibilities of reporting on the grant and complying with the grant and providing upfront information such as insurance documents and et cetera, before they'll actually award the dollars. We're hoping they'll be awarding the dollars here in the next week or two. And then we will start the active process of deciding, okay, of the $154,000 we received, what's the best use of those dollars? Where should we allocate those dollars to deal with, again, residential properties? That's all the grant can be used for. I will entertain any questions, or Mike, if there's anything you'd like to add to that. Or Dean, who was at the meeting, if you have anything to add.
Excuse me, I don't have any. I don't have anything additional to that. However, the other matter that we talked about in Nelson, is that permissible to just give the brief basics on that? Okay.
Absolutely.
We had another situation that came up, and in case, probably Angie, you more because you're closer to the area, but if anybody would get a call in reference to a open cistern or something in the Nelson area, it was brought to our attention at the meeting. And the health department from here in Lee County is focusing on that also. It's open. Anybody could fall in it or whatever. So we made a decision to go ahead and take enforcement action on that. There's going to be some cost in it, but it isn't prohibitive for us to continue or to stop, So they're going to continue with that. There's human excrement that's leaking from one of the homes that's adjacent to it, and it's deplorable. So if you get a call on that, it is active, and the health department along with us, coordinating through the focus group, we'll make sure that that gets taken care of. Or if there's any other technicalities, we'll probably draw Charlie into it. I don't know, was Stephanie there when we talked?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, Stephanie is the one that brought this to our attention. Assistant State's Attorney Stephanie brought this to our attention.
Right.
And yeah, Mike is correct in that the committee determined that it was a very prudent way to invest the $1,200, which is to mitigate that unsafe condition by closing up that open septic system is what I understand that it is. And so that is one of the things that the committee authorized to spend our allocation of ARPA dollars on, and that is an ongoing process.
Okay, that's all that I have. If somebody has some questions, Wendy, do you have anything else you'd like to add or whatever?
I don't think so.
Okay. I did a little check and Keenan talked to me prior to the meeting started, and he has a topic of conversation, and it's only conversation only at this point, that he would
not
like to
this
bring
meeting.
up in reference to the Veterans Organization here in town and the Veterans Memorial. So Keenan, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Veterans Memorial Park has an annual, what we call Veterans Christmas Tree Lighting Ceremony every year. And what it is to honor the men and women who are obviously served, and there are a different color of lighted bulbs on the tree, and each color represents each war or conflict. And this year, they're going to be able to remove a bulb due to the fact that a World War II veteran, actually from Dixon, recovery remains were identified around April and subsequently returned for burial by his family in state of Texas. So that's kind of a happy thing for those families because now there's some closure there. And that actually, this gentleman, his name's Myron Williams, actually his niece accepted the American flag from the Honor Guard. And that ceremony will be Saturday, December 2nd at 6:00 p.m. at Veterans Memorial Park. So, and all's invited. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Keen, where can we find more information on events that may happen there? Is there a website that we can refer
Yes,
to or Facebook?
actually, if you can go on a site and you can find Lee County, you can go anywhere, but Lee County veterans, and then list the war or conflict, and it should bring it up.
Okay.
And also, if you want to find out on a different veteran where they may be buried, you can go on called Find a Grave.
Find the brave.
Find a grave.
Oh, a grave.
And
Okay.
it will, if they're listed, it will tell you, a lot of information usually is in there on that veteran, like a bio on them, and it'll also tell you where that subject's, burial is at.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else have any questions of Keenan in reference to that? December 2nd, 6 p.m. at the Veterans Park, Keenan?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. I don't have any other things under unfinished business. Wendy, do you have anything under unfinished or old business?
I do not. Thank you.
Okay, and I have nothing under new business. Wendy, anything there? Okay,
Nope.
Mr.
all
Chairman,
right,
Mr. Chairman, could we take a moment, please?
sure.
Introduce Jeremy England as our new administrator.
Jeremy, I'm sorry.
I'd ask that everybody get a chance to meet him later, but we want to introduce him as our new administrator. And I apologize, I wasn't here when you started the meeting to have done that first thing.
Well, I looked right over, so I'm sitting there, and now that I know, no, never mind, I'm not gonna go there. Yes, I am. He's associated with South of 30, so he's right in there, okay?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Okay, Mr. Boonster, is there anything for executive session? Okay, if not, I think we've got it narrowed down pretty close to, if there's nothing else and nobody has any comments or questions, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that move.
So moved by Mr. Hudson, second
Yep.
by Angie. No discussion? Yes, a discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thanks, everybody. I appreciate